All right, Maddie, we're talking about the big three cryptos today. Try and guess what those three cryptos are.
Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe XRP.
Wow, so close, Maddie, so close. Team, we are talking about our big three. So big news these last couple weeks, and we're going to cover it all today, starting with SEC v. Ripple lawsuit finale, major milestone for Casper AMA recap. So in the Telegram, they did an Ask Me Anything with the developers and the CEO of Casper Labs, and we got to ask some questions. I was in there asking questions, and we got some answers from Casper. So we're going to go over the top 3 things you need to know about Casper. Finally, Tyler Winklevoss comes out in support of ZCash, and ZCash founder pushes for hybrid POS upgrade. We're going to talk about all this today, team, so make sure you stay until the end. But Maddie, we don't want to get too far into the show here, and we have to, divulge our true intentions here. Team, become a Crypto Charge member. Click the pin link in the comment section down below to become a smart individual at Crypto Charge. CryptoCharge.com is where we are from. It's an educational platform where we provide you the shows every day. You have the tools, the coin library, and you have the Discord, and teaching you how to invest, teaching you we are not a place where you hand over your money and we manage it for you. No, that is for you. Nobody's going to manage your money like you. So we teach you how to do that over there. So join up in the pin link down below, use code YouTube, and we will see you there. Maddie, we have a lot to discuss today. I doubt we'll get into any charting today. So team, if you want to see some technical analysis, you're gonna have to wait for the Ask Maddie show, 2:30 p.m. Pacific this Wednesday, because we have so much news to get through. And we will be talking about a crypto that we haven't talked in a while, discussing ZCash today, Maddie. And there's a reason we haven't discussed ZCash at all. It's because seemingly our community does not care. Okay, and that is very sad for you guys, because ZCash is absolutely killing it right now, Maddie. It is absolutely destroying. It brought up my portfolio so much, and it is carrying. I mean, this is what just happens when you buy the low of ZCash. We were talking about the yearly lows, and nobody believed us, but now it is carrying. And so you guys missed out, but we're going to talk about that news at the end of the show. We're going to get through some of our hotter topics today here. So let's get into it right now here, Maddie. Let me share with you what we got going on over here. Judge orders Ripple to pay $125 million in civil penalties, ending SEC lawsuit. So Judge Torres, to be specific here, has ordered Ripple to pay $125 million in civil penalties, concluding the SEC lawsuit and ruling that XRP is not a security. That ruling was July of 2023. Nothing new here. This is all for Ripple here. Significantly less than the SEC's original demand of over just about $2 billion. XRP surge was nearly 16%, with expectations that a decision will have a positive effect on the broader crypto market, especially after a recent downturn. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse hailed the decision as a victory for Ripple and the crypto industry. Although Ripple won the case, the judge issued an injunction against future violations of securities laws and noted the likelihood of potential future violations. Ripple must file a registration statement if it plans to sell securities. So Maddie, what does this mean for Ripple and the broader XRP community? We have seen the finale of SEC v. Ripple.
Yeah, and it's almost feels anticlimactic because we already had some of the more important pieces for us as retail investors settled long ago, over a year ago now. The biggest piece, which relates to XRP within itself as a digital asset, giving that clarity. I know that we all care about Ripple and we all care about the long-term success of the project. I never had this doubt or concern in my mind that Ripple was not going to continue with what they were doing. I knew they were not going to pay anywhere near $2 billion. They always start really, really high, right? It's like, negotiations in other parts of the world where they feel like they need to do this bickering back and forth to finally come to a reasonable price. 125 million versus 2 billion. We already can see that that's a huge, huge reduction here. And I think that Ripple was ready to settle for some amount of money, even if they didn't think that they had any wrongdoing. Court is so expensive. Time is very, very expensive. And these are all things that in a fast moving space like, we are now with crypto and DLT, that you cannot afford to lose. So at a certain point, you kind of have to just look at your, situation from a cost standpoint and go, does this make sense to press in court for another year till we appeal this to zero? Or is that going to cost us more time and money, more partnerships, more concern with other banks in the future? So this last piece here is more about institutional sales, and I think that that's the important part we need to take away from this. A lot of people go, well, once we get a positive, ruling on institutional sales, then XRP will go crazy. I think that we already got all the price action we were going to get from XRP for the most part when that pop happened. We got the massive relistings, and that's what we were all waiting for. If you guys go back and talk about our expectations from a year and a half ago, that's what our expectations were. So we got a 2x, and that was in a bear market, right? And obviously went back down because we were still in those conditions from a macro environment where we're not ready to move up in relation to risk on assets. So this is positive because it's going to allow us to move forward. People are all concerned about the SEC getting an interlocutory appeal or appealing some of these decisions. This case has gone out exhaustively. You can also see through a lot of the legal documents, especially if you guys were CryptoCharge members. We went through a lot of these analysis of the legal documents, and you can see in there that both Judge Netbert and Judge Torres were very, very sick and tired of the SEC's tactics and games and wasting the court's time, right? Like if you're a judge and you're sitting there and you have to make these very big, hard decisions, the last thing they want is you to waste their time, right? And this applies to other levels of court as well. They do not like their time wasted, especially with the legal system as backed up as it is now. So we have a very, very low likeliness of any sort of appeal happening here. And I do think if we were to get appeals, those appeals will most likely not even happen until years with an S down the road. So I think that we're free and clear XRP wise from a clarity standpoint moving forward down this road. The last piece I'll mention there is we talked about, having to file, registration forms if they want to sell securities. There are exemption forms that you can fill out, and Ripple Labs could sell, XRP in packages or, memberships through ODO quarters or whatever, but filing with exemptions. So there's still a notice to the public and a notice to the SEC what's happening, but they can still exempt themselves from it being a security. Both parties are very clearly agreeing this is not an investment contract. So there are ways to legally frame certain deals like this so they don't have to become securities automatically. So I want you guys to understand that. The ruling says that XRP within itself is not a security, but that doesn't mean that XRP can't be bundled in an agreement that then constitutes a security, right? So I want you guys to understand that difference there. So all in all, guys, this is good positive news. Obviously, nobody likes to have 125 million yanked out of their pocket by good old Uncle Sam. But 125 million versus 2 billion is a massive difference. I think it's a big W all around.
A major milestone for AI governance on Casper today, which was actually last week. We didn't get to cover it because we didn't have the show at the end of last week. Casper Labs minted the first transactions for Prove AI with Grayscale AI, marking the first enterprise AI data on chain. So, Maddie, this is awesome because there was a lot of bickering inside of Casper between us and some other people that were talking about getting transactions on chain via meme coins, and our pushback was like, well, wait, if we need to do this via meme coins, maybe this isn't cut out to what it's meant to be with Casper, And so now we're seeing the actual utility of the Casper network step in. So Grayscale AI, a company in Fremont, California, using AI to provide product inspection accuracy with the power of cloud-based data analytics. And what is the tool? Prove AI, designed by Casper with the support of the IBM Consulting. This is when they're doing the Casper X governance. It was the Watson X governance tool, and they added Prove AI on top of that. And this tool is now going to be used for other plug and play like Grayscale AI with their inspection. A lot of what we talked about with VeChain a couple years ago, the inspection of goods and supply chains. So Prove AI is an AI governance solution for building, training, and running AI datasets. It provides organizations with unprecedented levels of visibility into and control over their AI systems. This is the AI governance we like to see. We've talked about Casper being an AI crypto. It's more like an AI governance crypto. I think that's more specific there if you're allocating your portfolio to Casper, right? So, Maddie, real utility wins in the Casper community. I think this is a big W for us. Not seeing any real price action yet. It does look like we found a bottom in Casper price around that, 1.2 cent region. And it looks like we don't need meme coins on the Casper network to propel us up. What are your general thoughts on this before we get into more of the recap we got last week from Casper?
Yeah, first of all, massive W, right? And a much needed W, especially just after the unfortunate set of headwinds, having Casper go down and then having 5 back-to-back days of negative macroeconomic news did not help us along. And then also, I know that a lot of people's spirits were crushed when the IPWE partnership was dissolved because IPWE didn't have their ducks in a row when it came to their own funding. So this, this was a long time in the coming. We already knew that IBM was, very, very interested in this project from an AI perspective and governance. And governance is going to be a very, very important factor when we look at the just overall interaction between DLT and AI solutions as a whole. It doesn't always have to be about DLT. So if you have an AI governance model, you can apply those to non-crypto related solutions. So for example, right now, and this is what we talk about a lot on the show, is that the speed of technology always races forward, and then you have like regulation and like counter tools that have to catch up to like prevent some of the negative side effects that we have with some of the technology. So I would say like ChatGPT, great example, right? Like it can be very helpful. It can help you summarize things. It can help you create framework for your schoolwork or whatever. But then there's also people who just use ChatGPT to completely plagiarize, and they're not doing any of their own work. So how do we counteract this, right? Teachers are now looking into pieces of software that help audit and regulate and make sure that plagiarism isn't at play here. And that's just a very, very small example. So as we get, blockchains become more efficient and AI tools that become more efficient, you're going to need governance to keep the AI in check and not just trust the AI wholeheartedly, right? Checks and balances is really what it comes down to. And this is the balance to the check when it comes to AI.
Let's get into something very important. So Casper held a Ask Me Anything event, and this was with developers, this was with the CEO, and everyone. It looked like they had preset questions and preset answers in there as we were all sitting in there. And then at the end, people got to, like me, throw in our own questions, and we got very quick or dismissive responses, which I didn't like. But I wanted to. So if you go on Casper website, you can see the whole transcript of all the questions and the answers that were asked. And I want to go through the top 3 things that you need to know about Casper right now, post this Casper network halt and security issue. And I highlighted some things in here that I wanted to, let's start with question 9. Does this impact the halt in the security issue, impact Prove AI development efforts? What about Condor? No, it does not impact Prove AI, our relationship with IBM, or the work on Condor. Great. Love that. We continue to progress towards the Condor update, which is currently in DevNet. And if you have gone through the Condor update, which I don't think we have yet, there is a lot with that upgrade. So we'll go through that at some point. There's just a lot with the Condor update that's still in development that we would have to go through, and I don't think you guys are that interested, but we'll do it at some point, right? Question 12. This is the second question I thought that was of interest here, Matt. Why was the chain halted for longer than it took to develop a patch? I think this was a critique of ours, and they came out response. I'm glad they responded here. Where do I want to read here? Right here, boom. It's because a tool was developed to check the entire blockchain from Genesis, the Genesis block, to tip and detect other instances. This thorough process lasted a few days and yielded no other instances of exploitation. So this was a great security measure, and I'm glad they took care of this now instead of later, Matt, because as in a bull run and we hear negative news of the security being halted, I'm just glad it was right now. It was an insignificant, not an insignificant time. It was a very significant time for this to happen with, pressure being, or pressure waning, or the price waning on Casper price. So not a great time for that. I would have loved it like a couple months ago. But it is better before we see the blow off top, right? And then the last question I want to get to was question 15. Did the recent security issue fracture any of your Casper's strategic business partnerships? Gavin, slow down, talk very slow. These relationships remain intact. So, Batty, nothing has changed. We just have more security here. These were the main 3 gripes I had. Everyone else decided to ask about price issues, decided to ask about exchanges. I didn't care about that. These were the 3 questions that I cared about, and they answered it directly. Again, this was, a prompt, and they had responses before we hopped into Telegram. But these are responses nonetheless, and things of no worries coming out of the Casper network. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, no, I see it that way. And, I think that I exhausted myself pretty well on, why I didn't have any concerns about the patch taking longer than expected. Of course, it's frustrating. Of course, it impacted price in a variety of ways with people, trying to unstake and sell and panic sell, and people who couldn't do the deposits and withdrawals because exchanges were, instructed to halt some of that behavior to make sure that they were able to recover as much of the stolen funds as possible, if not everything. But it's a very mature way of approaching it. And I know a lot of you guys are very young. I know a lot of you guys are very new to this space, and a lot of you guys haven't been around big technology technology systems before, right? Like you've never worked in some sort of sector like this where this becomes a real issue. And sometimes it doesn't get fixed in an hour. I know we live in a world of here and now and fix it right now. And I need it now because we have technology at our fingertips. But when you're working on a program that is, out for the public and has to work in a perfect order, you have to take a different level of diligence than just, I have an internal system where, let's say it's a CRM where we do note taking instead of Salesforce, right? All right, whatever. Let's try the patch and let's see if we run into any other issues. That's a completely different set of circumstances because that's all internal. When you have public facing software and there's exploits where people's money and other types of value can be exploited, you have to be so diligent to make sure it doesn't happen again. What Gavin was referring to in that last quote, which was a very good quote from Genesis to Tip, that takes a long time, guys, right? You want to make sure that this was truly an isolated incident because remember, hackers out there are very, very smart. Sometimes they will do hacks that lead the team to believe that that was an isolated issue, but really they have found other exploits and they know that maybe the patch will, exacerbate that exploit even more. So yeah, it's frustrating, but again, we're not devs, guys. I know most of you guys are not devs out there. So let's go ahead and give them a little bit of grace and understand that it takes time to fix this stuff. And I would 100% have it done right the first time than to have the network go down a second time. Could you guys imagine what would happen to price if the patch went down, they patched it 3 days later, the network goes down again and it was exploited for 3 times as much money? Could you guys imagine what would happen to the community and the project? It would probably have gone to zero, right? So I want you guys to take some gratitude with this because this is a necessary part of the process when it comes to DLT.
Yes, I love how you said about that developer right there, that developer comment, because we are not developers. But something I did want to pin out is I got a response from the developer in the AMA. I threw down a comment, and everyone was just asking about price, and everyone was just asking about the exchanges, and they were giving me all the answers I wanted to hear about security. And so I just wanted to throw out something. I was just like, hey, man, you guys need a spokesperson. Right? You guys need someone out there because look at it. And I was thinking about okay, what other projects do I care about? Let's think about XRP. Who's the spokesperson for XRP community in Ripple? Is it BitBoy? I don't think so. I think it's Brad Garlinghouse. You see Brad Garlinghouse every single month, Bloomberg, CNBC. He's everywhere talking. He was talking about SEC Ripple, talking about the stable coin, talking about literally any update there were with Ripple and or the XRP community that needed to be involved, Ripple IPO. So there was Brad Garlinghouse is indirectly like a spokesperson for the XRP community, right? He has that clout. I would like that clout for Casper. The response I got in the AMA was I didn't expect someone, actually I did expect something you know what, maybe we'll look at it in the future, or maybe we'll, get someone that's not a dev to come communicate our thoughts that we're going through, especially with the security issue or things in the future. The response I got from a dev was we do content. And I they do content. What they do a month, Maddie, they do 1 monthly wrap up and they do 1 interview. That is not enough. 2 videos a month like that, video content of someone explaining what's going on with Casper is not enough. And I would never actually want to be a spokesperson for Casper, but I was maybe check out the Crypto Charge boys. So it got a bunch of likes, which was hilarious. But this kind of jumps us into what we're going to talk about with ZCash right now, as I definitely, Casper is whatever, ZCash is terrible when it comes to people because they'll take their dev and they'll have their dev explain it on YouTube, which it's just, you need an actual spokesperson for that. That's why we had Jeremy Hogan, James K on Twitter explaining what was going on in SEC Ripple. You had Maddie at Crypto Charge breaking down every single week the updates because you need that person to explain what is going on. Okay, we're running a little long here, so let's run through the ZCash news. Tyler Winklevoss drums support for privacy coin ZCash. Gemini co-founder, geez, Gavin, slow down. Oh my gosh. Let's start from the top here, right? I just want to rush it. We'll go over if we have to, team, okay? Gemini co-founder Tyler Winklevoss publicly endorsed ZCash, praising its commitment to decentralization and privacy, calling it one of the most underrated crypto projects. And now, here's a caveat here. Shielded Labs is supported by donations from Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss, the Winklevoss twins, from the social network, Facebook, yada, 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 went after Mark Zuckerberg. Those two. Winklevoss's support come amid increasing regulatory scrutiny in the US and even in the EU. They didn't even apply that there with privacy in the EU, particularly targeting privacy coins like ZCash, which offer anonymous transactions leading to government crackdowns, which we have seen. I'm pretty sure Maddie will give you a taste of the crackdowns we've seen in privacy. Now, actually, I want to read this last part because that will just jump us into the next news article here. Maddie, so now we're seeing Tyler Winklevoss come out in support of ZCash. Obviously, he has some money in the game here. But talk about this regulatory scrutiny with privacy, because that is probably, if we ever get questions about ZCash, it's that. It's about this privacy aspect of it. What can you tell us about that?
That's always going to be something the government doesn't like. They want to look into your home. They want to look into your wallets. They want to look into your bank accounts. They would love to give you a full physical exam every day if they possibly could. Governments don't like citizens to have privacy, even though privacy is very, very normal. The main talking point you guys are going to hear as we start to hear privacy coins, maybe become a little bit of a bigger deal over time, and as the space matures a little bit, is they're going to continue to talk about all the illicit activity, all the nefarious individuals that use privacy coins to traffic kids and sell heroin and do all these crazy things out there. And of course, those things happen. Guess what? That happens with bars of gold. That happens with dollars. That happens with pesos. That happens with yen, right? Like if people want to move illicit goods, they're going to move it one way or another, right? So step one, if you really want to eliminate privacy, eliminate cash from the system altogether, right? Make cash illegal, and then you can have full control over the entire system. So it's almost like this pseudo sense of privacy that the government wants us to have of like, well, it's okay if you keep some cash, but if you bring it too much cash into the bank, then we're going to flag the IRS and say that you're a criminal because you have $10,000 or more that you're bringing into the bank. We already kind of have this issue with cash now. So am I surprised that there's government scrutiny over privacy coins like Monero, ZCash? No, I'm not at all. We saw recently, and it's still ongoing, the creator of Tornado Cash. I'm not going to get too deep in the weeds on this, but Tornado Cash was an Ethereum mixer, which again, very big gray zone, but it's just code, right? Like code should be free speech. We should be able to post code, share code, use code as we like. So instead of putting it in a linear order of like this transaction, this transaction, this transaction, and this wallet went to this wallet, it basically masks the transactions and allows people to send Ethereum-based coins back and forth to each other. That has been shut down. The person who created it is in jail right now, has still yet to see any sort of actual court time to plead their case. Basically just trying to bleed him out time-wise without actually giving him time in court. But they're very scared of this technology. Now, I don't think it goes away. And I would look at people like Barry Silbert and I would say, you continue to double down on his ZCash fund and within his holdings. There's other institutional holders that have like recently decently sized ZCash bags. So I think that there is, definitely a lot of scrutiny and a lot of, fear in the space, but I also see some of the bigger players not really caring because they see the price action, they see the big listings that we have everywhere. And throughout this entire Tornado Cash, situation, we haven't had any ZCash delistings. So I'm not that surprised that we're seeing more people bullish on it. I do think we're going to have headwinds with it in the future, but I think we could have a really nice run this cycle, take some serious profits, and then we're probably going to have maybe a little bit of, going at it with the government on what the level of privacy that it's allowed to have when it comes to these DLT solutions.
And then this article led us into ZCash founder joins Shielded Labs pushing for a hybrid POS upgrade. So this isn't new. This was covered 3 months ago by a dev, and I'll quickly show it to you just in case you want to check it out. I'll drop the pin link in the comment section down below. But I tried watching this, Matt, and I can't honestly sit through. And this, if you want to watch something, watch this. If you're interested in ZCash, right? You're gonna have to listen to a developer talk like a developer, talk like an actual nerd. Okay? I know you guys say we're nerds. This guy is born to be a nerd. Okay? And so when you listen to it, it's not conversed the best. It doesn't translate the best. So you have to sit through an hour of him trying to explain, POS with ZCash, and it is not a good listen. But if you want to, this is a perfect example why Casper needs a spokesperson, why ZCash needs a spokesperson. There needs someone that's not a developer to translate the information to the community, right? Outward looking, right? If you want to watch that, go ahead and watch it yourself. I don't recommend it. Anyways, but along this news, ZCash founder Zoku Wilcox, now head of product at Shielded Labs, is accelerating efforts to transition ZCash from its current proof of work system to a hybrid proof of stake protocol, aiming to improve the coin's performance, okay, and reduce the downward pressure of its price. The upgrade, named Crosslink, will introduce staking for ZCash holders like that, enhance security against rollback attacks like that, and reduce transaction times really like that, and enable safer cross-chain bridges. Wilcox emphasized the need for a swift yet safe deployment through, no specific timeline was provided. And also that video I pointed out before, that hour-long video of that dev, he explains what that looks like, but he also had no time for this. So this is on the roadmap, but not on a specific time frame, which I don't like that either. But Maddie, this is like the question here. Is it wise for ZCash to go in a POS model, mechanism, consensus model, similar to Ethereum, but not exact?
I definitely think it would be a big upgrade for the network. Zcash is not very fast, and that's just a fact of the matter. When we talked about the use case of it, it's never been about speed, right? I hold plenty of things in my portfolio that are hyper focused on speed, like XRP, right? So I already have plenty of exposure in competitors in that space, and we know that Zcash has a different value. Moving from proof of work to proof of stake will absolutely speed up the process tenfold, if not more. And I do think it's more efficient. I've talked about, how grateful I am for us having the proof of work model with Satoshi creating this model. And we've obviously had, cryptography present since the 90s, but really, in 2008, when we had the Bitcoin network come online, that was the first real example of peer-to-peer transactions via proof of work. And we've considered proof of work valuable because, hey, it can prove that, everyone's a good actor and all these blocks we're adding to the chain are valid. But we realized that that's not the only way to go about it, right? You can have just as much security with a proof of stake model or a directed acyclic graph or any of these other consensus models and still achieve the same level of security with a much higher throughput. So hybrid model, moving to POS, I think it's a very, very good move. And I think that anyone who continues to dump all of their time and effort into a proof of work model is wasting their time. It's like working on two platforms before of technology than we are working on now, right? Like you would imagine, like you look at the computers we have now and you're like, all right, this is the standard GPUs that we're using. These are the standard CPUs. And you're like, nah, that's all right. We're going to go back to what we were using in 2010. People will like that, right? And I don't think that makes a lot of sense. So moving from proof of work to proof of stake is never fun. There's a lot of testing that has to go on. There's a lot of consensus that has to go on in relations to moving from proof of work to proof of stake. But I do think that it could be a very, very good move for Zcash and could really, really put it in the spotlight when it comes to an actual competitive advantage versus just, hey, it's another old boy that works off of proof of stake that provides, shielded transactions. Now we have the ability to also earn yield that could potentially, create a little bit less selling pressure because now you have more people who lock their coins up because they like earning that APY, right? We see that with Casper. You see a huge percentage of total supply locked, and that has, definitely during that period of consolidation, it kept price afloat. Obviously, when we saw that big crash, people started undelegating, and you start to see some of the panic. But long term, proof of stake models can keep more coins locked up, keep price a little bit more steady long term. So besides price, I do think it's a good thing from an efficiency standpoint, and I do hope that we get that implemented sooner than later.
I like that, Maddie. Security, and you could probably earn an APY securing the network with Zcash, and I would greatly like that. Team, we got to no charting today, no XRP, Casper, or Zcash charting, but I just want to say, guys, I told you guys to buzz off, and you did. And you know what I saw? I saw improvement in Zcash prices. Zcash is destroying and carrying my portfolio right now. XRP's up. Casper looks like it found a bottom. Screw you guys, because we went through all of this, Matt, and all we did was get flack, and we had, I'm not going to like discount our supporters here that have been with us and being like, you know what, I'm still going to allocate to these cryptos. You know what, you guys are right. We're still going to do this. But the rest of you guys are wrong, all right? And everything we just talked about in the show today shows that you're wrong, right? There's nothing wrong with Casper. SEC v Ripple finale. XRP is not a security. Ripple's paying a small fine. Zcash is now getting the news you guys all wanted. Welcome to 2024. August is starting to be a great month. All we need to do is see prices upward, and I think we'll be fine. Team, join us for the Ask Maddie Show, 2:30 p.m. Pacific, and we will probably get some charting. We'll break out some charting maybe even of Zcash. If you guys request it, I need to see 100 Zcash comments down below. I just want to see the ticker, and then we'll chart it. Until then, we're not charting it. You guys pissed me off a couple months ago. You guys, Maddie, remember they're asking for Zcash. We brought it on, nobody showed up. Or, people showed up, but it was not the figures I wanted to see. So if you guys drop into the comments, we will chart Zcash, or Maddie will chart Zcash on the Ask Maddie Show this Wednesday. But until then, guys, make sure you guys are still allocated right now. Maddie, there's a lot of good prices out there, right? And we will cover that on the Ask Maddie Show this Wednesday. And team, don't clown me for jumbling over this content. We're at 30 minutes now, okay? I only want this to be a 21-minute show, all right? I ran through it fast so we can get through all the topics today. You guys better leave a like for that. All right, Maddie, we're done today. We'll see you Wednesday. Bye.